Humiliation! That's the name of the game, the flavor of the season in Washington, D.C. for Donald J. Trump last week. The worst week of his presidency so far. Yes, he went all the way to Hanoi, that place where, interestingly enough, John McCain spent a few years in the Hanoi Hilton against his will, and Donald J. Trump made some serious points lampooning John McCain's captivity there, saying he didn't like people who got captured in the Vietnam War because, well, you know, Donnie had bone spurs at the moment. That's why he couldn't fight. Anyway, how fitting it was, how tragically ironic it was that he was handed his head on a plate by Kim Jong-un in that very same city. Yes, yes. And how did he handle this? Well, he went to CPAC. He went to the conservative political action and he spoke, and he had them cheering, Trump, 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 Trump. What is up with those people? Yes, yes, yes. They claim to be peace-loving types, but they chant, lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. What is up with them? Why do they love this culture of violence that he fosters? This recent rise in mass shootings. Can we put it all down to Donald J. Trump's feet? Or is it something else entirely? Yes, it's spring, it's March. 100 years ago, March meant baseball. Take your kid down to the baseball stadium, buy him a nickel bag of steamed peanuts, and watch the teams play. These days, it's mass shooting season again, right? You know, it stops in the holidays and cools off in January, February, because everybody's shivering. But then we get to March in the warmer weather, and then the AR-15s come out. Isn't that just a happy thought? But this is our era's problem, isn't it? Yes, because it certainly did not happen in the Vietnam War era, nor did it happen in World War II or the Gilded Age, and certainly not in the time of the colonies. No, this is a modern era problem. 90% of Americans favor universal background checks. 97% of gun owners favor universal background checks. But we can't seem to get them through Congress. And after all the heady days just 4 months ago when the Democrats were swearing they would do everything, they would get his tax returns, they would impeach him, they would give us Medicare for all, and they would give us a universal background check. All you hear now is a little cheep, 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 cheep. That cricket in the empty halls of Congress because the Democrats have gone wallow. They're just gone yellow-bellied, right? So what is it? What is it with America's fascination with guns, and why do we allow that 10%, talk about a tyranny of the minority, to rule, to hold hostage the safety of our children? What is that? Is it really about the hogs, like the NRA would have us believe? You know, Wayne LaPierre, the CEO of the National Rifle Association. Remember back in the old days, it was founded in 1871 as this gun safety organization. And it was a gun safety organization for 100 years. And then Wayne LaPierre showed up, and it suddenly became this Second Amendment, you know, civil liberties organization. More on that in a moment. Yes, what is it about him, that evil genius? And is it true about what he says about the hogs? Thank you for Christopher Columbus introducing an animal with no natural predator in the New World, so that 500 years later, they're taking over. The hogs are taking over. Just look at Texas. Half of those 6 million and counting hogs in this country are all in Texas. No wonder they love their guns down there because, you know, the University of Texas, they came up with like some sort of abortifacient, but they can't get the hogs to eat it. Why? Because they're too smart. Yes, hogs are the 4th smartest animals of all. They're right after the chimpanzee, the dolphin, the elephant, then comes pigs, and below that are the Trumpists and then the evangelicals. Yes. Oh, yes, hogs. Hog calling. You want to hear my hog call? Sweet, 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 sweet. Hogs got nothing on me. I'd get them. Yes, but hunters are not able to in Texas. So, and they say, well, of course I have to hunt a hog with an AR-15 because it's such a smart animal, right? With deer, like in my native Wisconsin, it's easy. You throw some corn kernels on the ground, you wait an hour or two, the deer comes on, you shoot it, take it home, right? Yes, but not in Texas. No, they're too smart, those hogs. And if you wound it and you don't kill it, it might charge you, and it's got those razor-sharp tusks that'll gore you to death. Yes. So they have to have a high-capacity 100-round magazine with a bump stock on their AR-15. Yeah, so they say. And yet I have one question. Why are there so many bow hunters quite happily shooting hogs every year in Texas? Could it be something else? Could it be that Second Amendment? Right, we all know the text because, we've been debating it for the last 5 decades, right? And they keep dropping that little, for a well-regulated militia. Yes. Citizens shall have the right to bear arms so that there is a well-regulated militia. Right. But I have just one more question to that particular objection. Does that mean that my neighbor has the right to build a dirty bomb in his basement? Or anthrax? Or ricin? Or a new smallpox epidemic? Really? Does your neighbor have that right? Even Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia saw the obvious flaw in that reasoning. Look it up. No. I think it's something else entirely. I think the AR-15, and I think why that 10% loves him so much. It's not hogs. It's not the right to bear arms. It's a penis extender. Yes. It's like watching British TV. You never notice on British TV they do full frontal nudity with men? But there's something strange about it, because that penis that he wears, it extends halfway down his thigh. Now, as a man, I can tell you penises don't normally go that far. And as a man who loves women, I can tell you what a woman's reaction is. You're not shoving that thing in me! God, it would come outside my mouth! Yes, what is it about British and their large cocks on their actors? They're prosthetics, that's what they are. It's a prosthetic, it's a fake cock that they tape onto his tiny little penis. I much prefer Showtime, right? Whether shows like Gladiator, and you got this really big, muscular man strutting around with those huge biceps and massive shoulders, and then you see that teeny tiny little penis of his looks normal, right? It's like the David with the Michelangelo statue with the medieval, the Italian Renaissance ideal of prepubescent innocence. So you got David with his large hands, large feet, large head, but a very small penis. Yes. So I think that's what it is. That 10% of Texans who are so crazy in love with the AR-15, they use it as a penis extender, and that's why they're so positively fanatic about not letting us take away their AR-15s. So what do we do about this? There's all this talk about electoral college reform. I think that it's not going to come to that, because I think the wiser heads will prevail. I think that Alabama, Mississippi, Missouri, they will sooner give in on universal background checks before they will give up their electoral college strength. So here's what I suggest we do. If we want universal background checks in this country, we threaten them with electoral college reform. That'll get their attention real fast. And in the meantime, when you see a man who looks like he's questioning his masculinity just a little bit nervously, walk up to him, tap him up on the thigh, and say, "You're big enough. Don't worry.